Even though fear is learned, the capacity to fear is human nature. What's interesting to note is that we have become more fearful over time.
Horror games by default are supposed to disturb you and make you uncomfortable, whether by using unsettling visuals or bizarre stories with very distressing details. They also exploit your lack of control, making you feel vulnerable with limited resources, while threats are lurking in the shadows. In other words, they're not usually meant to be fun, and instead, their main purpose is to mess with our psychology and take advantage of our appetite for mysteries. With that being said, all the elements I mentioned can become repetitive at some point, which can make them way less effective for many people. In this case, developers tend to think outside the box to make their game more unique, creative, and sometimes even shocking. This can mean making the story feel insanely evil for no clear reason, or simply adding hidden mechanics that you had no idea existed inside the game. So in this video, I'm going to talk about several horror games that basically crossed the line in their narrative and concepts, reaching a point where you might wonder if it's acceptable or not. So without further ado, let's start.
Fear of darkness is not the fear of absence of light, but of the possible or imagined dangers concealed in the dark. Vad händer nu då?
Turn the camera light on.
Hotel 626 is an ambiguous horror game that most people don't even know existed. And this makes sense because the game doesn't exist anymore. It was released in 2008 by none other than Doritos itself, and it was made as a marketing campaign to attract gamers and horror fans specifically. The catch, however, is that this is a browser-based flash game, and you can only play it from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Hence the 626 in its name.
Everything's scarier at night. That's why Hotel 626 is only open from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
In the story, you are a guy who wakes up at 2 a.m. in a dark hotel room after hearing some creepy noises. And as a result, he decides to go check what's going on and flee the whole place if necessary. The gameplay is from a first-person perspective, and in order to escape this nightmarish hotel, you need to go through multiple levels, and each level is meant to test your ability to overcome certain fears. This includes a level about the fear of darkness, in which you find yourself in a dark bathroom, where you can hear the voice of a female maid stuck inside. This maid was imprisoned in the bathroom for a long time, which made her extremely scared of light. But you need to use your webcam's flash to stun her until she screams at you, due to her paranoia. In the next level, you will find a demon baby sleeping in her bed, and you need to avoid waking her up at any cost, because if she does, you're dead. To bypass this section, you need to literally use your voice through a microphone to sing for the girl, which will keep the music box running for her. However, if you sing too loud, you're screwed, and if your voice gets too low, you're also screwed, so you need to keep it balanced to survive. If you don't have a microphone, you can use the mouse, but using the microphone is definitely much more realistic. When you leave this room, it seems like you've gone unconscious and someone is dragging you, but you'll also witness a very chilling scene of past residents in the hotel who probably perished inside it. Later on, you'll find yourself in a prison cell with a man in a straitjacket who looks like he's been starving for a long time, and he's looking at you in a very menacing way. To survive, you need to decode a cryptic puzzle by solving certain codes on the wall, which will help you unlock the door and run for your life. Eventually, you'll find yourself running through the hotel's hallways until you reach a dark area where you see so many photos of people that you don't know, but they seem very real and spontaneous. After you click on the photo of the hallway, you can finally escape and reach the final section. At this point, you're probably wondering how the heck this game crosses a line, and how it's different from any other horror experience. Well, the answer to that question lies in the photos that you saw earlier. Because in case you don't know, these photos are real and they literally belong to actual people who played the game before you. In fact, if you had your own webcam working while you were playing, you would even find a photo of your own face alongside the others. The reason behind this is that the game secretly uses your webcam to silently take photos of you and put them in the last section to shock you. Not only that, but the game also secretly uses your microphone to know exactly when you're screaming or confused, to make sure to take a photo of you during those moments. Do you understand how insanely disturbing this is and how shocking it can be for many people? I mean, imagine you're casually playing a horror game and you're exploring the chilling environment. But when you suddenly find a photo inside it, you see your own face in that photo. This will immediately freak the heck out of you and push you to think that you're being watched in real life. Or it can make you believe that the game is really haunted and you're personally targeted.
Why didn't you pick up the phone? Listen, if you want to get out of here alive, do exactly as I say. There isn't that much time. Quick, head down the hallway.
On top of that, the game also uses your own phone number to call you in real life and give you directions through a very scary man. But it gets even crazier, because in the next installment, Asylum 626, the game will secretly access your Facebook or Twitter account to find your details, like your friends' profiles, and surprise you with these details inside the game itself. This includes forcing you to choose a friend to sacrifice in order to survive, making the experience very personal. Then the game will post comments on your own social media telling people what you did. And by the way, the webcam feature here is even more chilling, because in a certain section, you need to look at the sink to see something. But as you do so, you will see the shadow of your own face moving in the sink in real time because your webcam is silently recording you. The game is able to do all of this because you innocently gave them permission in the beginning to allow them to use your microphone, webcam, and social media, thinking it's part of registration and game mechanics. But what you didn't know is that they use all of those tools secretly behind your back to do whatever they want with them, including taking pictures and videos of you without asking. If you think about it deeply, you'll find that it's not just scary inside the game, but it's also very terrifying in real life because your privacy was basically thrown outside the window during the whole thing. Even though it's cool and creative, don't forget that those videos and photos were stored in Doritos' database, and they technically can use them however they want. You should also remember that the game was seeing you all the time, meaning that if you did something super private in your room while your webcam was working in the back, there's a high chance that your actions were recorded and stored. So if you are a girl changing her clothes or a guy doing something embarrassing while the game is working in the background, you're actually vulnerable to being recorded, even though you think you're enjoying your privacy in your own room. The microphone aspect is equally dangerous because if you are having a crucial conversation with someone or saying something deeply personal, your audio can also be recorded. This eventually raised the alarm among many people, especially since the game had no clear privacy policies at all, leaving you uncertain about how your info was handled.
The more information you gave us at registration, the creepier the experience.
Over 2.5 million people in 136 countries have experienced Hotel 626.
Apparently, Pepsi, the company behind Doritos, realized how insanely deceptive this system is and how it's becoming way more serious than a spooky horror experience. In fact, it became so serious that the American Center for Digital Democracy filed a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission to explain the suspicious consequences of this marketing campaign. As a result, the game was entirely removed from the internet in 2011 without providing any reasons or clarifications, making it a memory in people's minds that feels like it never happened. No one knows if people's photos and information were deleted or if they were sold for nefarious purposes later on. This is crazy because if you're one of those players who fell in that trap, your photos can be floating somewhere right now in the vast universe of the internet, and you basically can't do anything about it.
Hotel 626 uses your webcam to sneak a picture of you and shows it to you later in a serial killer's lair.
None of you left. If I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left. If I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left. If I started murdering people.
Sad Satan is a very special case of a horror game that people don't even know where it came from, what it's really about, or who made it. The game appeared for the first time in a mysterious channel called Obscure Horror Corner, and it was hard to understand the purpose of playing it. Inside, you find yourself in a looping maze of stark, dark corridors that resemble a decayed, endless void. The visuals are grainy and distorted, like a corrupted VHS tape, and you're basically moving with no clear objective. You're just walking and running, and that's it. However, as you do so, random photos start showing up suddenly on the screen, like a scary child's face, scenes of crimes, or actual historical figures during horrifying moments. These photos are never explained in the game, and you don't even know when they will appear, leaving you confused and paranoid about what's next. But the sounds here are not any better, because during your gameplay, you constantly hear disturbing reversed tracks, such as the chilling rants of serial killer Charles Manson, or even the screams of people who seem to be abducted.
I'm nobody. I'm a tramp, a bum, a hobo. I'm a boxcar and a jug of wine. And a straight razor if you get too close to me.
The initial version of the game in the videos was very cryptic, and it felt like it was hiding so many shocking secrets. But later on, another version started circulating on the 4chan website, with a download link from the dark web. And this time, the elements in the game were way more explicit. but for all the wrong reasons. When users downloaded it and examined the files, they found photos that were not for the faint of heart at all. These photos include bodies of people who passed away mysteriously, and these bodies were mostly in a horrible shape, indicating they are victims of murder. They also found pictures that show kids with predatory men, who seem like they are trying to take advantage of them in a very evil way. I hope you guys understand what I mean because I don't want to say it explicitly, and it's really messed up to even think about it. Nevertheless, people who downloaded this version also stated that their PCs started crashing, and it seems like they were infected with a virus that displayed bizarre messages. This led many players to panic, and they also created an entire Reddit community to discuss this mystery and try to solve its enigmatic signs. According to a guy called Jamie, the owner of this channel, he downloaded the game by using the Tor browser after receiving a tip from an anonymous subscriber. This subscriber said he found the game on the dark web through a user known as ZK. And this is why Jamie needed Tor browser to download it, because this browser is designed specifically for the dark web and the deep corners of the internet. In a Kotaku interview, Jamie said that he saw content in the game that he can't talk about online, and that's why he intentionally removed this content before uploading the videos to his channel. I am talking about unbearable photos and videos of crimes, murder, and again, very distressing scenes that include individuals who are not adults, and you know what I mean. To this day, we don't really know who made the game or why he made it, and even the dark web link doesn't work anymore. With that being said, the sanitized version online seems to also include enough clues to make you disturbed. For example, the game shows an actual photo of Jimmy Savile and Margaret Thatcher holding NSPCC stickers, and this logo stands for the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, which is an ironic way to help you understand the core of Sad Satan. What's even more ironic is that this media personality, Jimmy, was actually a predator who targeted hundreds of kids during his celebrity life, and his crimes were only exposed after his death in 2011. His photo with the Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher is probably meant to imply how elites and rich figures are protected by the state, no matter how twisted they are. This might explain why Jimmy was never investigated and he lived a long, luxurious life, even though he was a monster behind the scenes.
The big question I get asked is, when did it all start? And why?
The game also shows the photo of this guy multiple times, and this man is called Tsutomu Miyazaki. He's a real Japanese serial killer who targeted young girls and did horrible things to them even after killing them, including keeping their parts as trophies and tormenting their families. And by the way, he was obsessed with taking intimate photos of little girls and taking advantage of their bodies even after their demise. This takes us to another guy in the game, the Australian actor Rolf Harris. And he's very disturbing as well because he was also convicted of doing bad stuff, yes, you guessed it, to minors. The police also found out that he visits very sketchy websites online that specialize in posting suspicious photos of kids. And when I say suspicious, I mean the type of photos that predators would love to look at. Long story short, the full version of Sad Satan is literally too disturbing to even put on your PC. And I'm not exaggerating, because the content alone can actually get you arrested. That's why the versions you can download from stores like Steam are all sanitized, and they lack the parts that made the game so controversial. The most obvious question here is who the heck the owner of this channel is, and why he disappeared. Some people said Jamie made Sad Satan to gain fame and subscribers. But this makes no sense, because his channel and Twitter account have literally been abandoned for the last 9 years, and he has never appeared ever since.
I live where there's no TV, there's no radio, there's no clocks, there's no electric lights. The girls carry water, they don't wear makeup, they have their babies by themselves.
My name is not important. What is important is what I'm going to do. This is the time of vengeance, and no life is worth saving. And I will put in the grave as many as I can.
The name of this game is enough to give you an idea about how it can be messed up and how it can push the boundaries a little bit too far. The story is about a man named the antagonist, or not important. And these are literally his names, and I'm not being funny. He wears dark clothes and he has long black hair. But the problem is not his looks, it's actually his morals and values. Because this guy despises humanity and everything about it. What's even scarier is that he's not your enemy in the game, but instead, you are the one who guides him and helps him in his mission. And this mission is killing every innocent person on his way. In fact, this is basically the only purpose here, because the entire story is about a man who hates society and wants to take as many lives as possible before his own demise. This means murdering civilians, police officers, and even military soldiers. And this can happen in different locations like suburban neighborhoods, train stations, and casual everyday places.
I never thought it would be so easy to slaughter my whole neighborhood. I can feel their pain, their suffering flowing through my veins. It's like the most intense drug.
He's insane!
And I need more.
Besides using various weapons like shotguns and grenades, the antagonist can also execute wounded people in a brutal way, highlighting his heartless mindset. But the crazy part is that these executions help him regain his health, which means that the game wants you to be more aggressive and ruthless. In other words, you are encouraged to not have any morals or empathy, but you also need to maintain a big load of disdain for everything around you, because no one deserves to be happy and safe. This insane concept led to a huge controversy, and even though the game was made by a team from Poland, the impact was even more concerning in the United States, leading to local news coverage and a debate among experts.
A new computer game which has authorities worried that the limits on violent games being pushed way too far in this particular case. Here is the trailer for this game.
Some critics said that the game glorifies mass shootings, especially since it shares sentiments and behaviors that exist in the real world. Actual officers were also very upset about how the game encourages you to shoot the police in your mission as if they were the bad guys.
The trailer depicts a lone wolf killing police officers and innocent people for no reason whatsoever. Do you take this personally?
Yes.
The reason these criticisms made sense is because there's literally no moral justification at all in the game. And the killings you commit are not meant for fun, but they're actually meant to represent the morals of the guy you're controlling. As a result, the game was initially removed from Steam after public backlash. But Gabe Newell himself intervened and brought it back later on. However, the limitations didn't stop there, because countries like Germany and Australia banned the game outright, while in America it was given the adults-only rating. And by the way, this rating can tell you how seriously this game was taken by authorities, because it's very, very, very rare in the US for a game to reach this category, especially for violence. The American standards are usually loose when it comes to this aspect, which means that the killings are not what caused this rating, but it's actually the motivations behind it in the game. The developers said that they wanted to make an artistic statement against the growing limitations and laws on creative freedom in gaming. But apparently they went far enough to trigger the American board and push it to limit the game's distribution, especially since the story coincides with a huge debate in society involving mental health and guns.
Time to leave this place. I can smell some innocent blood. It always tastes better.
I think this is enough for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give it a like so I can make a similar one very soon. Believe me, there are more horror games that I avoided mentioning here due to how dark they are, but if you love this subject, I will be more motivated to talk about them. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the ones I mentioned and which game disturbs you the most. See you next time.
Okay, this is nothing out of the ordinary, but we have disturbed the work enough for today. Please shut the camera off. Shut it off now. Please shut it off now.